Good day, everyone. We are the
Y
and K team from Kazakhstan and Korea. I'm Indus,
and I'm Niall.
and our team name combines Yon Nayon and Indus, and also the word green shows our care for the earth, environment, and for the nature. And we work together to raise awareness about the terrible impact of nuclear testing. And as you can see on the screen, we have our slogan: change the future, remember the past. Our topic is nuclear test in Kazakhstan. And by the way, we created an Instagram account called YK Green to carry out our activities. Through it all, we are raising awareness and engaging with others about the environment damage caused by nuclear testing in Kazakhstan.
And based on the topic we selected, we conducted a survey and received a total of 43 responses. We would like to share the research with you through a continuous presentation we created. One of the key questions we asked was, do you think nuclear energy is helpful in the climate crisis? Among the responses, one opinion stood out. There are many renewable energy sources, like wind power, but at present there are technical limitations. And someone said nuclear energy can be used at a relatively low cost if efforts are made to ensure safety in terms of management. And the problems caused by nuclear testing in the past are something humanity should reflect on. And we also asked whether establishing a medical support system for the victims of nuclear testing in Kazakhstan would be effective. And about 88% of respondents answered positively and showing strong support for such a humanitarian effort.
And so we will start with introduction, background of topic selection. We choose this topic to help people understand an important part of Kazakhstan's history. The Semipalatinsk nuclear test is a painful chapter for Kazakh people, but many people don't know about it, so we want to change that. And the next one is overview of the Semipalatinsk region. Semipalatinsk is located in eastern Kazakhstan. It is the birthplace of Abay Kudanbayev, beloved Kazakh poet. Since we are talking about the area of Semey, we want to show you the size of the test area, and you will be surprised. So look at the chart. It shows how big was the Semipalatinsk test area. It's even bigger than the whole Gyeonggi province, which located in South Korea, and larger than the country of Montenegro, which located in southeastern Europe. This means the nuclear tests didn't happen in a small lab. They happened on a huge piece of land, almost like a small country. And in the 20th century, over 40 years of nuclear testing took place here, causing long-term damage to people and also to the nature. And the next one is purpose and significance of the study. Our goal is to show how nuclear tests harm people and nature. It helps us remember the past and protect our future. And the next theme is historical background and timeline. The first nuclear test was on the 28th August on 48, and the last test was happened in 89. So over 40 years, a total of 456 nuclear tests were conducted, including, as you can see on the screen, 99 ground tests, 26 atmospheric air tests, and the last one is 340 underground tests. And we guess that many of us know about Hiroshima. As you can see, here the nuclear test in Semipalatinsk was hundreds times stronger than the Hiroshima bomb. Second, overview of nuclear testing in Semipalatinsk. The Soviet government's position. The Soviet Union kept it secret. People in the site were not warned and were unknowingly exposed to radiation. And also, the Soviet government thought that military power was more important than human lives. So they continued testing again, and again for 40 years. Third is current environmental damage, soil and water pollution. The main rivers affected are the Sharan River. Sharan River was created on 65. Lake was called like atomic lake, Lake Sharan. The water still contains radioactive elements, so in the river lives species with radioaction. So please look at the screen and you can see a screenshot of the documentary which we find on the YouTube. So let's write one time. Do you know there is a radiation here? Yes, we know. Aren't you afraid to eat fish from here? Just silence. So people from Semipalatinsk know that fish is radioactive, but knowing that they are eaten and also swimming there. And also about this, the lake has become famous abroad in the Netflix documentary series, which names Dark Tourist. The president swims in the lake and eats fish from it despite the radiation. The next one is radioactive lakes and build-up. Radioactive materials like cesium, strontium, plutonium are still found in the ground and rivers. These substances stay active for hundreds of years and they can be removed easily. Some animals survived, but started to have deformations. So scientists found frogs with two heads, mice with twisted legs or damaged organs, and other strains, mutants like two-headed cow. And what about ecosystem damage? Many species disappeared, like Saiga antelope, steppe foxes, hares, and quails.
And the next here are the effects of nuclear tests on human health. First, nuclear testing led to a sharp increase in cancer cases and genetic disorders. People living near test sites were exposed to high levels of radiation, often without their knowledge. As a result, many developed leukemia, thyroid cancer, and other serious illnesses. Birth defects and genetic mutations also became alarmingly common. And second, there are many testimonies from local residents that reveal the human cost of these tests. Some remember seeing a sudden flash of light or hearing a loud explosion without any warning. Others talk about losing family members to cancer or giving birth to children with deformities. These stories show not only physical suffering, but also the emotional trauma as well. And finally, the damage didn't stop with the first generation. Radiation exposure has caused intergenerational health issues, affecting the children and even grandchildren of those who live near the sites. Genetic damage has been passed down, meaning the effects of nuclear testing are still being felt today. And please look at the screen. This is the Semei Kunstkamera is in the city of Semei, inside the Institute of Radiation Medicine and Ecology. It has real samples of birth defects caused by radiation. These are the results of nuclear tests at the Semipalatinsk test site, where over 450 bombs were exploded. The museum is not open to the public, but you can only enter with special permission because the displays are very serious and used for science and medicine. This is also not a regular museum. It is a reminder of the tragedy that still affects local people today. And now we would like to take a short moment to show you a short video that highlights the devastating impact of nuclear testing. This video has also Korean subtitles, which we made in person. So please watch carefully.
Doveva stare 3 secondi. 2 secondi. 1 seconda. 3.
Челябинском полигоне прогремел первый взрыв мощностью 22 килотонны. Никто из жителей близлежащих аулов не был эвакуирован. Люди выходили из домов, чтобы посмотреть на ядерный гриб.
Yes, this video was shown that how nuclear test is affecting to the people, and so what actions did the Kazakh government actually take? First, closure of test site and nuclear disarmament. First of all, in 1991, they officially shut down the Semipalatinsk test site, and not only that, they dismantled more than 1,400 nuclear warheads and sent them back to Russia. That's a huge step toward disarmament. Second, nuclear legacy cleanup. They also sealed up old nuclear test tunnels, like the ones in the Galvan Mountain in Kazakhstan, and any leftover radioactive materials, actually, they were safely removed and secured. Third, transition to peaceful nuclear use. Then in 2024, Kazakhstan held a national vote on nuclear energy. About 70% of people voted yes to developing nuclear power. So in 2025, they set up a National Nuclear Energy Agency and picked a site for the new plant. And last, it's diplomatic leadership in denuclearization. Kazakhstan also took the lead internationally. They proposed a UN resolution to make August 29 the International Day Against Nuclear Tests. And in 2019, they ratified the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, like TPNW. So now, let's talk about how both the Kazakh government and the international community responded to the damage caused by nuclear testing. First, with the help of the IAEA, Kazakhstan established a low-enriched uranium bank, basically a safe backup supply of nuclear fuel that supports non-proliferation. The IAEA also gave technical support in radiation medicine and environmental recovery, which was crucial for helping affected communities. When it comes to nuclear materials, one of the key actions was the dilution and relocation of highly enriched uranium to make sure it couldn't be used for weapons. They also decommissioned and sealed up the old nuclear test infrastructure, which helped reduce future risk. And civil society played a very big role too. The Nevada Semipalatinsk movement between 1989 and 1991 was huge. People came together and protested to demand an end to nuclear tests. It really showed the power of public pressure. Later on, the Atom Project started in 2012. It's a global campaign that pushes for the ratification of the CTBT. It's the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. And every year on August 29, they help raise awareness through events and campaigns. And we also have to mention activities like Kaisha Atakanova, like this picture. She was internationally recognized for her work in anti-nuclear advocacy, showing how individuals can make a real big difference. So overall, it wasn't just about technical fixes. It was also about people, protests, and international partnerships all working together to move toward a safer and nuclear-free future. And these are the Nevada Semipalatinsk logo and protesting pictures. The goal of this group was to protect humanity from the overall threat of nuclear danger. So they aimed to shut down all nuclear test sites in Kazakhstan and keep industrial waste under public control and create an ecological map of the area. The movement had its own charter, organizational structure, and cultural symbols. And And that's exactly why we want to emphasize this point. Strengthening medical infrastructure for nuclear affected residents. These communities are still dealing with the long-term health effects of radiation, things like cancer and birth defects and other serious conditions. But often they don't have access to proper hospitals, equipment, or even trained professionals who can treat radiation-related diseases. So we believe it's really better to build medical facilities, train more local healthcare workers, and provide mobile clinics that can reach people in remote area in Kazakhstan. It's not just about treatment, it's about restoring dignity and giving people the care they've needed for decades. Let's moving on to what we can actually do. Some sustainable solutions to support those affected by nuclear testing. First, we want to establish radiation health centers, especially around the Semipalatinsk area. These centers would focus on treating radiation-related illnesses like cancer and thyroid disorders. We also suggest using mobile clinics so people living in rural or remote area can get regular checkups and treatment. Second, we propose to introduce the personalized health records. Each person would get a radiation health card that tracks their exposure history and medical data. These reports would be connected to the hospital system through electronic health reports and used to monitor high-risk groups like kids and pregnant women or the elderly person. And third, we need to train and deploy medical professionals. This includes launching special training program in nuclear medicine and with support from organizations like the IAEA or WHO. And we can also send multidisciplinary teams like radiation nurses and environmental health workers to local clinics. And in the future, we should even develop AI-based remote diagnosis systems so isolated areas people can access radiation care easily. And now it's our conclusion. So in recent years, the Kazakhstan government has begun opening the Semipalatinsk nuclear test site as a tourist attraction. For the safety of radioactive contaminated areas, cleanup work is continuing and continuous monitoring is underway too. So there was a strong sense of rejection due to public sentiment, but there is also news that the number of people in favor of the construction of nuclear power plants has increased because of the chronic energy shortage problem. And the two-sided nature of nuclear power plants is a problem that mankind should solve. And in addition, we must compensate for the damage caused by nuclear testing in Kazakhstan in the past. And these are all the references that we use. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any questions? 질문.
I have a question. So the topic of your project is nuclear test.
Yes.
Nuclear test must means test of atomic bomb or
Yes.
maybe hydrogen bomb. But the picture on your cover is the hydrogen nuclear power plant, right? So maybe as you know, nuclear bomb and the nuclear power plants are quite different. Maybe the fundamental theories are the same, but we have to very carefully distinguish or differentiate. But you mix, I think the all content seems mixed. So I don't know if that is a good conclusion or not. So I'm very difficult to understand. What is your point? So you mean you don't, your point is that the nuclear power plant should not be constructed in Kazakhstan? That is your conclusion? Or the test site should be, no people allowed to visit here, or maybe something like that. So I think more elaborate studies must be needed. So that is my opinion. And another one is that what is the connection between nuclear test or maybe nuclear power plant with the climate crisis?
About, you mean mutant babies?
Pardon?
Mutant babies. Babies with difference.
Maybe.
What is so?
Maybe. So the first question is that the nuclear test and nuclear power generations are quite different. Should be different. The fundamental theory of fundamental science is the same, but they are quite different. Subjects should be different, but everything seems mixed. So I cannot differentiate. So I cannot understand your point, your conclusion. I understand that you guys are not engineer or not scientists, so I may understand, but you need to be very careful.
Oh yes, we got it.
Do you understand my point?
Yes, we got it.
Okay. Then what is your position?
At first, I'm sorry because I'm not, as like Professor said, I'm not an engineering, so I can't say that what I know. The reason why we choose this topic from this project is actually we are thinking about the Kazakhstan's environment or social problem that are ongoing now in this country. So we are planning to start the history plan. And we find that Kazakhstan is a country that in the past there was a lots of nuclear testing started from the Semipalatinsk. And we were think like it is a very connecting topic because in the past there was a history of nuclear tests, and now there is lots of debate about the radiation, like nuclear power is good or bad. So I think it's a good topic from in now, and at the future you can know about what benefits from the nuclear energy, and so we think like that is it can be connected each other. So we just want to talk about that. The reason is that to choose this topic.
Okay, Kim.
I have one question. That you guys mentioned that the situation has been caused by the nuclear energy experience larger than Hiroshima.
Yes.
So my question is, do they still experience that much? If not, actually, it's not too dangerous to people and nature because I think nuclear experience relates to nuclear energy, and there's a lot of controversy between the scientists. So I just want to know your guys' perspective.
So are you asking if they are against any use of nuclear energy?
I heard that nuclear energy a little bit eco-friendly in the country because the nuclear energy avoid lower gas emission. So if they did not experience that much, I think it's not too much dangerous in the environment. So I just
Okay. Did you understand the question? Have any answers?
So you are saying that nuclear test in Semipalatinsk wasn't seriously like Hiroshima? Is it right? Your question. So you are asking that a nuclear test what was in Kazakhstan in Semipalatinsk wasn't serious like Hiroshima? You are telling this? But we are find informations like 400 trillion information. There was archive informations. We found we found there that the nuclear testing in Semipalatinsk really was seriously than Hiroshima. Like, it's fact. Like, it's not our opinion, it's just fact.
Yeah, we can assume that many or most stories about it are still kept secret. And it was just shocking that they had more than 400 nuclear tests. And it should be a disaster. And never be text. It's just unimaginable.
Can I just say one more thing? Yeah, because we are investigating lots of information about this, and we found that Semipalatinsk nuclear test was more than biggest, like 45,000 times than Hiroshima and the other sites of test. So actually it was a really dangerous test, but now we are more noticed about the damage that it comes from that contamination about the region. So we just want to know about that part recently. Thank you.
Thank you. Just the last question. Yeah, if your proposal presentation is to enhance the public awareness of the environmental effects of nuclear test, then you have succeeded. But yeah, just horrible. But the policy suggestions, okay, you advanced, do not seem very innovative and creative. It's just cliche, matter of common sense. It's like your answers to the problem sound very general and vague in the air. Okay, what do you think? Are there any very creative and imaginative, innovative solutions to the problem? Like provide medical services to people affected? It's just a matter of common sense.
Yes. So we made an idea, like something about the radiation health card. So we were inspired by the ID card, like a concept. So it records some persons who were damaged by the nuclear tests. So the card has one person's radiation exposure history and what kind of clinic that the person had. So by presenting that card in the hospital or remote villages hospital, so many victims can heal the damages of the past and check up regularly. So we are try to
Okay.
about that.
Understand. So that we can track the records.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have a quick question?
Okay, make sure.
So there's like global green kilometer project contents, but it seems like your presentation was mostly about the Kherson situation, not about Korea. Like I think it was all about Kherson situation. It seems like.
Yeah. North Korea.
So I just think that it is not so related to with our country, but our opinion is just like this because while nuclear energy and may offer a solution to.
So we can start. Borderless crisis. Speaking on water scarcity. Hello everyone. My name is Marupoba. I'm from the Catholic University of International Relationships and World Languages.
And my name is Yen Jin from Joseon University. We are Team Green Bridge, and today we are going to talk about one of the most pressing and formless issues of our time. Weather scarcity caused by the climate crisis.
It is not just a local or regional concern, it's a global challenge that takes different forms in different parts of the world. That is why in this presentation we will focus on two very different countries, landlocked Kazakhstan and maritime South Korea, to explore how the same climate crisis leads to the different water-related consciousness in each.
Part 1. Why we choose this topic? We decided to focus on water scarcity because water is the most essential element for alive. Yet, it's also the most vulnerable to climate change, drought, floods, and rising sea levels. These are not isolated problems. They are all symptoms of a broken water cycle. In other words, the climate crisis is a water crisis. This year, we saw very clear evidence of this in both Kazakhstan and South Korea. In Kazakhstan, massive floods in April 2024 affected thousands of people. It was one of the worst disasters in decades. Heavy snowfall followed by sudden melting and intense spring rains overwhelmed the rivers and reservoirs. Thousands of homes were damaged, farmland were flooded, and people were forced to evacuate. Meanwhile, in South Korea, a different problem emerged. Unexpected flash drought. In May 2024, reservoirs levels in some provinces dropped to their usual levels, threatening agriculture and water supplies. These sudden droughts are becoming more frequent and harder to predict. So while Kazakhstan and South Korea are very different geographically and climatically, both are experiencing extreme water events driven by climate change. Part 2. Impact of climate change on water resources. Now, let's talk about how climate change affects water more broadly. Rising global temperatures implies the capacity of the atmosphere to hold moisture. This leads to more extreme and uneven rainfall. It causes a phenomenon called polarization of precipitation, meaning that regions already suffering from drought will receive even less rain, while regions that are typically wet get too much too quickly. As a result, we see both long dry periods and more intense rainfall events. It becomes harder to store, distribute, and manage water. But the impact doesn't stop there. Water scarcity leads to serious secondary damage. For example, landslides occur when sudden heavy rains hit dry or deforest land. Agriculture suffers from both drought and flooding, leads to food shortages. Ecosystems collapse when rivers dry up or wetlands disappear. Industries, especially those that rely on water, like energy manufacturing or food production, face major disruption.
So, how do Kazakhstan and Korea differ in facing this challenge? Kazakhstan is facing a growing water crisis caused by climate change and incessant water use. According to the Ministry of Water Resources, Kazakhstan consumes 109 cubic meter of water per production unit. It's potable, Russia is 44, or Australia is 21. This highlights a lack of modern water-saving technologies and inefficient infrastructure. In 2023, 24.9 kilometers of water was used in Kazakhstan, 60% by agriculture, 23.5% by industry, and 4% by households. Outdated infrastructure remains a major issue. Much of the irrigation system dates back to the Soviet era. In some areas, over 50% of water is lost due to leakage and evaporation. Agriculture, especially rice and cotton farming, is the largest consumer. In industry, water recycling is limited, and households' awareness remains low. The country's downstream position in most river systems adds further geopolitical risk. So now I'm going to talk about the Aral Sea disaster. The case of the Aral Sea is perhaps the most dramatic example of the cause of poor water management. Starting in the 1960s, both the Sirdarya and Amudarya rivers were diverted to irrigate cotton fields in Central Asia, but as a result, the Aral Sea lost more than 90% of its volume, turning a vibrant ecosystem into a desert. This caused a collapse in the local fishing industry, increased dust storms carrying toxic residues, and worsened health conditions in nearby communities. To address these challenges, Kazakhstan adopted a new water code in 2025. Key reforms include integrated water resource management, digital monitoring, large-scale canal rehabilitation, construction of new reservoirs, international cooperation with Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan, and public awareness campaign promoting household water conservation.
So we've just seen the water scarcity situation in Kazakhstan. Now let's take a look at what's happening in South Korea. Part 4, water scarcity situation in Korea. First, the domestic sector. This figure shows yearly changes in heavy rainfall caused by low pressure and weather fronts in Gwangju. This is 2017 and 2018, 2019, and this is 2021. Doesn't it seem a bit different from the previous 3 years? Due to global warming, rainfall pattern in Korea has changed. Short intense downpours are becoming more frequent. Reservoirs and dams have fixed capacities, so when heavy rain exceeds those limits, the excess water must be released. This is limit the amount of water we can actually use. Second, the industrial sector, especially semiconductors. This industry requires a large amount of industrial water. In South Korea, major product delays due to water shortage haven't been widely reported. However, companies have strengthened efforts to secure and reuse water. For example, in September 2020, Samsung Electronics Hwasong campus reduced annual water usage by about 27 million gallons between 2017 and 2019. Third, the agriculture sector. In spring 2023, the average reservoir level in 420 reservoirs across Jeollabuk-do was only 57.8%, raising concern about water shortages during rice planting season. According to the Korea Rural Community Corporation, the national rainfall in the past year was 1,188 millimeter, about 89.5% of the average. In south regions like Jeolla and Gyeongsang, it was only 973 millimeter, or 72.6%. Over the last 6 months, it drops further to just 62% of the average. However, the government and companies responding to these water shortages based on the Act on Promotion and Support for Water Reuse systems that purify wastewater and rainwater for reuse as industrial landscaping and cleaning water are expanding. For example, key waters, wastewater reuse facilities, and Samsung Electronics introduction of the ultra-fuel water reuse systems. Next is the development of seawater desalination and alternative water resources technologies. To respond to the climate crisis, the government has expanded the alternative water resources project. Examples include the seawater desalination center in Jeju and alternative water resource project in Gangnam. Another response is aquatic ecosystem restoration and nature-based solution (NBS). For example, Samsung Electronics, the Ministry of Environment and Key Water are jointly promoting the Janeng-dam Sinpung District Wetlands Restoration.
So now, I'm going to talk about the team activities. As part of our joint Korea Kazakhstan project, we made several activities aimed at better understanding youth perspectives on water scarcity and climate change. So we conducted an international youth survey and 2 individual interviews, one with a Korean student and one with a Kazakh student. The goal was to compare personal attitudes, daily habits, and level of awareness in both countries. So what interview participants were asked about their awareness of the link between climate change and water scarcity, water saving habits in their daily life, what motivates or discourages them from taking action, and how the interview changed their perspective. So we're going to show you the video. It showed how differently and sometimes similarly youth from both countries relate to climate and water issues.
안녕하세요. 혹시 자기소개 해주실 수 있나요? Можете, пожалуйста, представиться?
Меня зовут Наталья Бежан, я ученик 3-го курса университета Казахстана.
혹시 기후위기로 인해 물이 부족해질 수 있다라는 이야기를 들어보신 적 있으신가요?
Да, слышала.
Был ли у вас момент в вашей жизни, когда вы чувствовали, что вам нужно экономить воду?
저는 몇 년 전에 제가 살고 있는 도시에 물이 부족해지고 있다, 진짜 심각해진다, 이런 기사를 접한 뒤로 느꼈던 것 같습니다.
혹시 기후위기를 막기 위해 물 절약 행동을 해보셨다면 어떤 행동들이 있으셨을까요?
저는 이제 손을 씻을 때 거품을 묻힌 다음에는 물을 끄고 손을 씻는 그런 걸 실천해봤습니다.
그렇군요. 물 절약 노력 후에 어떤 생각이 드셨는지 자유롭게 말해주시면 감사하겠습니다.
별거 아닌 행동이긴 했지만 그래도 뭔가 지구를 위해서 뭔가 했다는 거에 대해서 뿌듯함을 느꼈습니다.
А был ли у вас опыт, когда вы предпринимали действия по экономии воды, чтобы противостоять климатическому кризису?
Нет, такого опыта нет.
Хорошо. Люди, сделавшие большой вклад в борьбу с климатическим кризисом, иногда чувствуют, что хоть немного помогли делу, но также часто думают, что изменится от того, что я одна стараюсь. Вот. Что вы думаете об этом? Скажите, пожалуйста.
Я считаю, что если каждый человек будет хотя бы немного экономить воду, лично сам, то ситуация в мире не изменится, но постепенно
Спасибо за ваш ответ. Многие думают, что мелкие действия не приведут к большим изменениям, но на самом деле это не так. Например, по данным регионального управления провинции Чоланамдо, Южной Кореи, если сократить время душа всего на 2 минуты, может сэкономить примерно 24 литра воды за один раз.
4인이 함께 사는 가구가 일주일간 이 실천을 이어나간다면 약 680리터의 물 절약이 가능합니다. 이는 2리터 생수병 340개에 해당하는 양입니다. 이와 같은 다양한 연구들은 개인이나 가정에서의 작은 실천이 놀라울 정도로 큰 영향을 미칠 수 있다는 사실을 보여주고 있습니다.
Среди способов экономии воды можно выделить, например, вытирание жирной посуды перед тем, как помыть ее, или стирку только при полном баке белья. Есть ли среди них что-то, что вы хотели бы попробовать, или, может быть, у вас есть свои идеи?
Вообще, дома обычно пользуемся посудомоечной машиной, в отличие от, например, ручного мытья. Посудомоечная машинка гораздо меньше затрачивает воду, поэтому она гораздо выгоднее и более
저는 설거지 할 때 기름기를 닦다 보면 어쩔 수 없이 물을 많이 쓰게 되는 것 같아서 설거지 전에 기름기 먼저 닦는 게 실천에 오면 좋을 것 같다고 생각합니다.
아, 그렇군요. 감사합니다. 마지막으로 이 인터뷰를 통해 느낀 점이나 생각을 간단히 나눠주세요.
아까 설명해 주신 거 저도 샤워를 되게 오래 하고 있었는데 제가 2분만 샤워 시간을 줄여도 물 절약에 되게 도움이 된다고 하셔서 지금부터 그것도 한번 같이 실천해 보고 싶다는 생각이 들었습니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Думаю, что это интервью очень полезно, и в целом эта тема о защите, о освещении темы, потому что нужно экономить воду, очень полезно и должна быть более освещенной.
Спасибо большое. До свидания.
So now I'm going to talk about our survey. The main objective of our survey was to explore how young people in South Korea and Kazakhstan understand, experience, and respond to the problem of water scarcity caused by climate change. We also wanted to examine their readiness for international cooperation. So the survey targeted young people aged 18 to 30, mostly university students. A total of 67 responses were collected. That means that in this survey were participate 67 people, 34 from South Korea and 33 from Kazakhstan. The questionnaire included 16 questions on the following topics: personal experiences with water scarcity, beliefs about the link between climate and water, sources of information, daily water saving habits, willingness to take further action, views on responsibility, individual, government, or companies, attitudes toward international cooperation, and lastly, suggestions to engage youth more effectively. So, as you can create a QR code linked to the full survey data in Google Sheets. Everyone can scan it to explore the complete results by country. So we made two surveys. One is in Korean language and one in the Russian language. We combined all the responses and translated them in English, so you can see all everything in English. So now I'm gonna talk about the main question in the survey. Question number 2.
About 1 minute ago?
Yes. So, do you agree that climate change is worsening water scarcity? Responses showed a strong agreement in both countries. In Kazakhstan, over 90% agreed or strongly agreed. In Korea, about 62% agreed. This shows a shared understanding that climate change directly affects water access. So, we asked, what is needed for the younger generation to care more about these issues? Top answers included awareness, campaign, and education in both countries, social media trends showing the influence or digital platforms in Kazakhstan may also embrace the role of laws and policies. So next one, we're going to conclusion. Let's take a deeper look at what we ordinary people can do to help solve the water crisis caused by climate change. Many people think, I'm just one person, what difference can I make? But individual actions, when multiplied by millions, create real change. Like everyday habits. We can all see water in our daily routines by turning off the tap when brushing teeth, fixing leaks raising cooking water for plants, and limiting unnecessary water use. Small changes add up. They reduce pressure on local water system and build long-term awareness. So social media. In both Kazakhstan and South Korea, our research shows that social media is the main source of climate and water information, especially for young people. This gives us a powerful tool. We can use it to share facts and statistics, post videos showing real-life effects on climate change, take part in eco-friendly trends or challenges, help grants and institutions to demand action, amplify underreported voices like rural farmers or students from affected areas. We don't all need to be experts, we just need to be communicators. Speak up, talk to your family, your colleagues, your classmates, your friends, your teachers. Whatever issues are often invisible until it's too late. Let's make them visible through conversation. So finally, we're gonna talk about the individual action matters. So we also need large-scale changes. In Kazakhstan, also revealed a serious weakness in environment education. In South Korea, although more students are taught about climate issues, there is still room to improve access to practical action programs. So, what countries must invest in water resource systems, not just in industry, but also at the municipal level. Modernize agriculture, which consumes the most water in Kazakhstan. Alternative water sources like desalination, especially in coastal areas. Restore ecosystems through nature-based solutions. Cooperate internationally or shared rivers and regional climate policy. So, we have seen that young people care, but they need better tools, more education, and more platforms for their voices to be heard. Let's raise awareness. Let's act individually and collectively. And most importantly, let's do it together. So, thank you. It was a very rich team. Do you have any questions?
질문 있으시죠? What's the point of your conducting the survey?
So the point was to see the awareness in both countries, like in Kazakhstan and in Korea. Like,
did you find any similarities or differences between these two groups?
Yes, we did actually. Like in the question number, I guess it was question number 2. So do you agree with the statement that climate change is worsening water scarcity? Like both Kazakhstan and South Korea were agreed. And also, where do young people find the information about the crisis? So it was in social media and also news or media. So the main point was how to raise the awareness of this crisis. So I think we think that we need to use the social media. We use for the Kazakhstan needs more education.
So you are implying that the general perception of or general attitude toward the problem are basically similar, same among Korean and Kazakhstan?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Are there any differences? Serious
yes,
differences?
we actually have.
Because you haven't mentioned anything else.
You can see all the questions, all the options here, and also the main. Oh, yes, it was the question number 12, I guess. So, Kazakhstan students were more they wanted to participate in this kind of projects, between Korea and Kazakhstan, while Korean people were less likely to participate in this kind of programs.
Okay, why didn't you mention about that?
I wanted to mention that, but we didn't have enough time for that. So. But if you want, you can see everything here in QR code. Everything is here.
Yeah, I'm asking because it's not that very well organized, and kind of the focus is kind of confused. We are moving between water scarcity, drought, flood, and we are moving between the survey of the problem and the actual surveys for students. So we are kind of confused. We were.
At first, we introduced the climate crisis, like the water crisis, and then we were talking about the situation in Kazakhstan and situation in Korea, and after that, the main point was to raise awareness of this crisis, so we can solve that, and that's why we made the interviews and the survey to see how much people know about this crisis and what we need to do to make other people more awareness about it, to know about it.
Right. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, we're a team of oxygen survivors, and we're here to present on the topic of air pollution. I am Yerim John, a student in the Department of Political Science and International Relations at Altinayi University.
And I'm Altinayi from Kazakh University, majoring in foreign philology, and the title of our research is Assessing Air Quality Challenges in Almaty, Learning from Seoul's Mitigation Success. The reason we chose the topic because air pollution is a critical issue affecting health, ecosystems, and quality of life. Comparing Almaty and Seoul helps assess pollution severity, sources, and solutions in order to change the situation in Almaty. This analysis can guide policy, improve mitigation strategies, and encourage collaboration for cleaner air. The ultimate goal is to compare air pollution in Almaty and Seoul by analyzing sources, trends, and impacts in order to identify effective solutions for sustainable urban living. We'll compare two biggest cities of each country and see how each copes with the issue.
The objectives are evaluate air quality data, identify pollution sources, compare pollution trends, assess health impact, and recommend mitigation strategies. First, let's look at the table of content. We'll start with a brief definition of air pollution and compare the air quality in Almaty and Seoul. Next, we'll look at the causes of air pollution in Almaty and its effect on our lives. Then we'll introduce Korea's efforts to reduce air pollution. Finally, we'll suggest possible solutions to improve air quality.
The World Health Organization defines air pollution as harmful substances in the air that endanger health, ecosystems, and quality of life. With over 4 million annual global deaths linked to air pollution, it is a severe worldwide issue.
Air pollutants come from two main sources: natural emissions from decomposing organic matter and human-made emissions from human activities. Air pollution comes from four main sources: mobile sources like vehicles and ships, stationary sources such as factories and power plants, area sources including urban and agricultural land, and household sources like cooking and heating. This classification helps identify key contributors and potential solutions.
Next, let's compare the air pollution conditions in Almaty and Seoul. First of all, Almaty has the highest level of air pollution in Kazakhstan and is in top 25 worldwide. Almaty is often covered by deep smoke that causes severe health problems and a high prevalence of respiratory diseases in the local population. Furthermore, an average in Almaty is 70+ air quality index based on US standard, which is approximately 5 times higher than the norm based on World Health Organization's guideline value. Do you remember that when we went to Shibulak, you couldn't see the city because of the smoke above the city, blocking the view? It perfectly represents the poor air condition in Almaty.
but as of January 2025, several regions, including Seoul, had the worst air quality and were under emergency air quality reduction measures. Also, the hourly average concentration in Seoul's 25 districts was 88 micrograms per cubic meter as of 7 p.m. that day. Most countries do not have good air pollution conditions. However, on average, Almaty has higher air pollution levels than Seoul. Almaty often has fine dust concentrations from vehicle emissions and heating that far exceed the WHO recommended standard, resulting in an overall moderate level of air quality, while Seoul generally maintains a good level thanks to consistent policy implementation.
Next, we'll present on the causes of air pollution in Almaty. The causes of air pollution can be broadly classified into three main categories. The largest portion, at 54%, is industrial activity through manufacturing facilities. Next, accounting for 34%, it is a high proportion of oil and diesel vehicles. And the last but not least, finally accounting for 40% is indiscriminate use of heating coal or pollutants. According to environmental expert Yolanta Spayo, thermal power plants, oil, gas, and mineral processing plants are the largest contributors to air pollutant emissions.
Air pollution has severe impacts on both human health and the economy. According to a 2019 UN report, it significantly increases mortality rates from several major diseases: chronic obstructive pulmonary disease 21%, stroke 17%, ischemic heart disease 15%, lung cancer 15%, type diabetes 13%, and lower respiratory infection 13%. Beyond physical health, air pollution is also linked to mental health issues, including depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline.
On the other side, the economic consequences are equally concerning. Poor air quality reduces workplace productivity while increasing error rates in manufacturing. Healthcare systems face growing burdens from pollution-related illnesses. Tourism suffers in heavily polluted areas as visitors avoid visiting those locations. Transportation networks experience frequent disruptions due to reduced visibility, causing flight delays and traffic congestion. These wide-ranging effects demonstrate how air pollution undermines both public health and economic stability.
So next, we will present what measures Korea is proposing to address air pollution. It can be divided into personal measures and policy measures. Personal action plans include using public transportation instead of private cars, saving energy at home, planting trees and greening the city, and participating in campaigns to reduce air pollution. Policies work only when many people try together. Air pollution is everyone's problem, so everyone must help solve it. Let's look at the policy measures implemented in Korea. The first, eco-friendly transportation system was introduced. The Korean government aims to have 4.5 million electric vehicles and 850,000 hydrogen vehicles on the road by 2030, working to increase their availability. It also supports programs that encourage early retirement of all the highly polluting diesel vehicles grade 5. Since transportation is a major source of urban air pollution, promoting green transportation is a sustainable way to reduce pollution.
The second is expanding nature-based solutions, creating forests to block fine dust. The Korea Forest Service and local governments have been implementing fine dust blocking forest projects by creating forests around industrial complexes and roadsides to absorb dust and harmful gases. This is a low cost and high efficiency measure that utilizes nature and is expected to have multiple effects, such as carbon absorption, psychological stability, and mitigation of urban heat islands. The third one is carbon emission trading system and pollution emission fee position. The carbon emissions trading system limits how much greenhouse gases large industries can emit. If they go over the limit, they must buy permits or pay a fee.
Korea has used the system since 2015. There's also a pollution surcharge that fines companies for releasing too much pollution. The money from these fines help fund environmental projects. These systems make companies pay for polluting, encouraging them to pollute less. By combining policy, nature, and economic tools, Korea is working to reduce air pollution.
Global air pollution is not just an environmental issue, it's a climate emergency endangering human survival. Without urgent action, climate change will accelerate, causing irreversible damage. To combat this, we propose a practical solution, the carbon deposit account. This innovative system rewards individuals with carbon points for reducing greenhouse gas emissions through daily actions like using public transport, saving energy, or adopting a plant-based diet. Unlike corporate-focused carbon taxes, this approach engages citizens directly. Points are tracked via smartphone apps or public systems, can be redeemed for real benefit, discounts on bills, eco-products, tax breaks, or local currency rewards. By incentivizing sustainable living, this system turns small actions into meaningful climate change progress.
The key is that the carbon deposit account is not a simple compensation system, but a sustainable structure that quantitatively visualizes an individual's climate behavior, converts it into economic value, and induces long-term behavioral changes. This can be an important turning point that breaks the stereotype that climate crisis response equals sacrifice. No, and it leads to a change in perception to climate crisis response equals rewarded economic activity. In addition, the carbon deposit account encourages different groups like local governments, companies, and financial institutions to participate. For example, local governments can create public services linked to carbon points, and companies can join donation or compensation programs as part of their ESG efforts, environmental, societal, social, and governance efforts. Although implementing this plan across the country may cost hundreds of billions, we believe it is a worthwhile investment given the long-term social and both economic benefits of tackling the climate crisis.
We also think this system is suitable for responding to air pollution in Almaty. Almaty is a representative city and economic center of Kazakhstan, and air pollution problems are becoming increasingly serious due to dense population, underdeveloped urban infrastructure, cool heating in winter, and continuous operation of old vehicles. Due to Almaty's geographical and climatic characteristics, traditional solutions are clearly limited. So, an innovative approach combining economy, technology, and citizen participation is essential. Therefore, Almaty needs to introduce a carbon deposit account, an innovative incentive system that can induce behavior changes in each citizen. A carbon deposit account is a sustainable process based on citizen participation, and it is the most realistic and effective alternative that can achieve behavior changes and air quality improvement at the same time. Through this system, Almaty will be able to leap from being a simple environmental city to a climate-leading city. Air pollution, which is widespread worldwide, is more than just making the sky look hazy. Along with the rapid rise in greenhouse gases, it is worsening the climate crisis. The carbon deposit account is an economic incentive system that goes beyond simple environmental protection and fits the needs of today's climate crisis. This helps both individuals and society. It changes the climate crisis from a big, distant problem into one where small actions by each person can make a difference.
To conclude our research, our study compared air pollution challenges in Almaty, which is dominated by industrial and vehicle emissions, to Seoul, facing urban fine dust, revealing significant health and environmental impacts. South Korea's effective strategies, including eco-friendly transport and carbon incentive programs, provide actionable models for Almaty's mitigation efforts. The findings demonstrate that solving air pollution requires coordinated policy measures, technological innovation, and public participation. By adopting tailored solution and fostering collective action, both theories can achieve cleaner air and more sustainable urban environments. Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Thank you, specialists, for making it short, so that we can have enough time for questions. Okay, 네, 혹시 질문? 네.
I have a question. Your topic is air pollution, right? So, and you mentioned about climate crisis, so reduction, especially reduction of carbon dioxide. I'm asking if carbon dioxide is a pollutant material or not. And actually the similar question is if there is any relationship between climate crisis and air pollution.
Air pollution is directly connected to climate crisis since it raises the temperature of the Earth. Basically, that means that outside of Almaty, it is cooler for like 2 Celsius degrees. Yes, because of, as we mentioned, vehicle emissions. So the carbon dioxide that is produced by, for example, cars, that are a lot of in Almaty, as you may notice, it directly influences the temperature of the air in Almaty.
Okay, so yeah, I mean they look actually quite similar, but I think that there must be some similarity, and actually there are many different aspects. So I would recommend you distinguish between climate crisis and air pollution. So yeah, and as you mentioned, they're quite common, but actually not the same. So maybe different topic, but similar topic. So that is my expectation.
Okay.
I think air pollution is accelerate and more serious. It is upstairs into climate crisis.
So it does change the climate, as we mentioned before, because of the number of cars in Almaty, the temperature has raised. So if you go outside of Almaty, for example, to the suburbs, for example, in Tagar, it's cooler.
So you are implying that air pollution is one of the causes to climate change, not the way around. I don't know about that. You compare the cases between the Almaty and Seoul. I'm not quite sure if the comparison is appropriate, because I think the problems are different, the causes actually, and the solutions must be different accordingly. You suggested what carbon deposit account. If something similar is already in practice in Korea, right? 한국에 비슷한 거 지금 하고 있죠.
The reason why we connected those two series is because, first, as you can see in the pie chart, there are causes of air pollution on Almaty, right? The first is manufacturers, second of all vehicle pollutants, and the reason why we think that it actually makes sense is because, as we mentioned before, we first of all put responsibility not only on citizens, but also on companies. because they must take responsibility for the mess that they cause. That leads to air being polluted in Almaty. And it's not that common in Kazakhstan. That's why we think that actually making companies, giving responsibility to the companies and people who use old cars will actually help, because they will face consequences of their own actions of polluting the city. For example, manufacturers will try to, for example, purchase newer filters for the factories, and also.
I understand. I get the point. But the major component of air pollution in the city of Seoul is kind of like transport. The air pollution comes from China, actually, across the sea. Again, we need the international cooperation to solve the problem. Okay, that's why I asked you whether the comparison is very appropriate. And the second question I asked, right, the CDA, I asked if you are aware that something similar is already in practice in Korea.
But Korea actually isn't
Practicing?
Yes.
Right. If not, then where did you get the idea?
We are talking about
Your own invention, imagination.
We got this information. Mainly our main sources were just topics, articles on the internet about the air quality, about the solutions that we can get, and also about the practices. And as we mentioned before, the Koreans, the solutions that Korea gives, for example, even with just making companies pay fees for polluting air, also can benefit Kazakhstan, especially Almaty, since it is the most polluted city in Kazakhstan.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.